Alright guys, we're going to talk bow. I'm Lord Geo. Let's get it. Alright, and we are in. And guys, I know what you're probably thinking. How could this be an advanced guide? The game has only been out a week. Are you saying you're a master already? Maybe. Maybe not. But what I found on other videos on the bow, they just go into simple things. The talents, all that mumbo jumbo. You can find a million talent builds out there. But what we're going to go into is something a bit more specific, as well as the talents. I'm going to take you through how to use it. How the arrows fly. Because it's actually quite interesting what I found. So before we get into anything, any talent builds or anything like that, I'm going to show you guys how the bow actually shoots. And we're going to experiment on this poor little tree here. Okay? So in most games, the bullets always fly out of center screen. Okay? If you're playing Valorant, I play a lot of Valorant, CS. Obviously that's a hit scan, so it's slightly different. But it's always going to fly out of the center of your screen. Whereas with the bow, it flies out of your bow, which actually changes how you should aim. And I haven't seen anyone talk about this. So, if you see this tree here, the arrow is going to fly out of my bow. Okay, which means that if I aim to the right, it clips. You see how it's going to the center of the tree? You see that? And if I go to the left hand side, it flies straight through. Whereas if I aim to the same side, it goes to the center. That's because it's flying out of your bow. You're going to want to aim slightly to the right when you're going for those headshots. And it really depends on the range, because it flies out of the bow, okay? So if I aimed right for this guy on his head here, it misses. You see that? Because it flies to the left. You've got to pull it slightly to the right. And then you're good. See that? It didn't even hit his head. Comes out of the bow, it goes across. So when you're fighting in those engagements, really got to make sure, and I stress this enough, that your crosshair is slightly to the right. Okay? Because that arrow is going to fly towards where you're aiming, but it's not going from the center. I know it sounds probably obvious, but that's how it is. Another thing I want to talk about before we get into any talents is sensitivity. Now I'm going to show you guys my sense. Play a lot of first-person shooters, which is partly why I've been playing a lot of bow, some musket as well. I'm playing on 17 at 100 DPI, 1000 DPI, 100 DPI. Imagine 1000 DPI, and this means that I can get really good control over my crosshair. It's really smooth. I do find it difficult though. Ignore this spear build. This is something I was doing for PvE, but when I'm going in, I really have to swing round to get behind people if I want to go forward and then swing. But we'll cover that in a different video, because we're talking about the bow now. Right, this is all bow. Okay, so now you know all about that. Now we'll go into talents. Okay, I'll let you into my talent build, which is probably going to be very similar to other things you've seen, but we'll see. So this is what I'll be running for all of my 1v1s, my 1v2s, my 2v2s, my open world. This is it. And it doesn't change that much, you know, depending on what you do. I think this is going to be a really solid build for most things. I think you can change it for PvE slightly, but I'm going to run you through it, okay? And the importance of all the talents as well. So, evasive tactics is huge. When you roll, you deal 20% more damage. That means that changes how you play. So you're going to be constantly rolling in the fights, okay? You see this debuff that I've got on the bottom of my screen, 3 seconds left. And it glow as well. Isn't that nice? Get a nice blue glow. Nice healthy blue. So you're going to be constantly rolling. And when you're engaging people from long distances, you're going to pull up and fire. And you've got to make sure you get that heavy arrow off just before your timer runs out. So then you get the damage. So you're going to be constantly rolling. Very important talent. Fade shot is just amazing in PvP. You need to take this. And I always take the knockback as well. I'll tell you why I don't take this. I don't think you'll be needing this. Okay. I I think this is a bit greedy, and I think there's other things that are better than this. The evade shot causes a 2-meter knockback. It's huge when you get people close to you. It really stops their attack, and then you have space to roll away. Poison shot is absolutely insane. It does so much damage when you get all of these, and if you hit it for 200% more damage, it's huge. Don't aim for the ground. Don't be that guy. You can do this. You can hit them. Hit them in the chest. You don't have to aim for the head. Just hit them. It does 200% more damage. You don't want to pass that up. I take dodge and weave because you do need some haste, and this is why I don't take this talent, because you only get 5% more after you evade shot on a 14-second cooldown. Or you can actually get it every time you dodge, and you're going to be dodging a lot with evasive tactics. So this is why I think on this skirmisher thing, this is all I take, and I also take the 10% more damage to your foes suffering from the debuff. It's probably quite controversial that I don't take battle precision. You know, it obviously works great with poison shot, 20% more uptime, but it's not that much more damage, really, on the dot. I think you can live without it, and I think there's really loads of things here which are great to take, and I wouldn't want to get rid of anything here. So I think you can live without that. This is great, because you whack the poison shot on, and then all of your damage gets amplified, which is really good. Okay, so we're going to move over to the hunter. The hunter. Obviously you want to take a lot because you want to get this concussion, which is insane. 20% more headshot damage. So if you hit a headshot, and then you probably saw in my last video, if you haven't watched my last video, I did a montage of my first week playing the game, all my bow clips, and you'll see some of the shots I do hit for 80% of their health, and it's all because of all of these multiplicative talents mounting up to be a huge shot. Okay, so you can go through this in your own time in more detail. I'm not going to spend a load of time on talents because you've got it here. Okay, having said that, 20% more damage 10 meters away, 20% more damage to targets 20 meters away on your penetrating shot. You've got increased crit chance. If foes haven't taken damage yet, 20% more damage. It just adds up, and the bow hits hard, okay? You've just got to hit your shots. That's the thing about the bow. Once you hit your shots, you're fine. And you want to take these talents, the arrow range and the aim true, partly because of the damage. 30% more damage is huge, but partly because they fly faster and it's easier to hit. I'm getting attacked! Why would you do this? I'm going to skin you for that. I'm level 56. I gotta get off the road. Christ. Alright. Back. This is stupid. Don't take this. Don't be baited by this. Heal yourself for 10% of damage done. Don't do that. That's dumb. You don't want to take that. It's hard to hit headshots, and you're not going to be hitting them all the time. But when you do, it's not worth this. Don't take this. It sounds great, right? You can sustain as a bowman, but no, don't do it. I'm not like a massive fan about this in 1v1s. Obviously, this doesn't do anything in 1v1 unless you get very lucky. But you just need to take it for this, and I really like this as well. Deep strike just deals more damage, which is grand for my war build. And my PvE build. They're slightly different, but not by a lot, like I said. I can't respec for you because I have no Azoth, because I've been spending it like a little whore. So I'm sorry, but I will just tell you what I do. Okay. All you do, and it's not a big change, is you want to take off this. Okay, you don't need evade shot in war or PvE. Not really necessary. You want to take Rain of Arrows, of course. AoE. Bleed. Bleed them. Oh yeah, don't take these. I tried this out a fair bit on release, and it was okay. But you're missing out on poison shot. So don't take rapid shot. And this, I think I've used this for like 5 seconds, and I was like, how is this in the game? Please, Amazon, remove this and put something good in, or just buff it insanely, because it's terrible. It's bloody terrible. Don't ever take Splinter Shot, ever. I'm sure you're not, because you're not stupid. But don't do it. So all you want to do is take away Evade Shot. You got 2 points here, you put them in 2 points here. You could take Battle Precision, and then you could take off Surprise Attack. I think that would be maybe what I did. Wait, how many points have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can't take off Surprise Attack. Let's take something off here. You could take Dodge and Weave off. Less mobility, I guess, but you're in war. A lot of the time you're just going to be standing still, pumping damage into the crowd. You can use this exact same build in war if you want to go for more of a taking out the cannons and being more of a flanker. If you see in that last video as well, I did that a lot. So I was just one-shotting cannon users, which is really useful because those things chunk your troops down. So you can take them out quite easily. If you want to be more of like a DPS into the pack, get a load of AoE on, I would take off these two. I'd put these two on. The slow's nice, but not necessary really. There's going to be so much CC going on in wars that you don't really need this. For PvE, it's again the same, I think. I mean, I don't really think there's any difference for dungeon grinding. You can just take these two off, put these two on. I mean, like, this is okay, right? But mobs die pretty quickly. 20% longer? I mean, this already lasts 20 seconds. What pack in the game lasts 24 seconds? None is the answer. And again, this lasts for 12 seconds. So you don't need this. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about it. Just take these two. And then you're good. Okay, now we've got the boring stuff out the way. I want to talk about how to fight, what you should be doing in fights. And I am planning on doing a few vids in the future on the bow. How to 1v1, how to 2v2, how to 1v2. And cause I've got loads of clips of that, and I'm going to talk through, you know, a little mini commentary and tutorial on what I'm doing in the fights. I'm still learning, everyone's still learning, but I feel like I've got a good kind of eye on what you should be doing in the fights. So you've got to manage your stamina. Once you get a certain amount of dex, it is 150. Your dodges cost 10 less stamina. Please don't give up on the bow until you've got this. It's huge. Because before you can only roll twice, then you're out. Whereas now you get 2 rolls. Okay? And I'm guessing you guys don't need to know about the animation cancelling of the dodge roll. You guys know about that, right? You switch. You can do this in fights as well. What I do, I have my spear and my bow bound on different buttons. And I just switch to my spear as I roll, and then I go back to my bow, and it gives me the haste buff. You can do this in fights. You see me do this, and then I have the buff there. Okay? So I've got this, I'm maneuvering around, shoot, switch back, I get the buff again. Don't do this. Okay? Ugh, it's clunky. Ugh. Make sure you get that animation cancel as you're rolling. So, stamina is huge. Once you're out of stamina, you're screwed. But then we've got a trusted spear. But I'll talk about that in another video. I really think the spear and the bow, it's the best combo. A lot of people are running rapier, and I did rapier for a bit as well. But I think the CC from the spear is insane. I use my bow 80% of the time in all of these engagements. The spear is really there, like when the shit hits the fan and I'm in trouble. You just got so much CC. Again, this spear build is a PvE build, which I will go over when I do my spear video. So ignore these talents. But you have so much CC. So what I do when I'm fighting as the bow. Lag. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be pulling down on a fat heavy arrow. I made this mistake for a while. You obviously want to roll first. I made this mistake for a while. The heavy arrows don't go heavy when the arrow has this nice whitish glow. That's not when they go heavy. They go heavy after that. I made this mistake, right? I thought as soon as that arrow was glowing, it was a heavy arrow. Not true. Not true at all. And I was having really weak hitting what I thought were heavy arrows. and you'll see what I mean. Let me get my revenge on this wolf. Because your friend attacked me. See, it's glowing? 2.8k, okay. It's a lot, obviously, but it's a small mob. What you want to do is wait until you feel that tension there. That's a heavy arrow, right there. It's really annoying that they put that into the game. But you've got to wait for a bit, then it's heavy. 6.5. Okay, big difference. And that's another thing what people are making mistakes with. Is you've got to wait a little bit more until it's properly taut. Pull it down tight. And then that's a heavy arrow. Boom. When you're engaging someone, you roll, pull down on the heavy arrow, you hit the heavy straight away. Boom. As soon as the heavy's done, you'll still have your buff for about another 1 or 2 seconds, your rolling buff. As soon as you pull down the heavy, you release, let go of right click, straight to the E. Boom. Big damage. You can two-shot people. That's the reason you do this straight away, is because you can actually two-shot people. If you see in my compilation, I've got other videos that I recorded yesterday. I've two-shot people with this. That's your combo, your initial start-off combo. You have this, which is insane. All of this extra damage when you haven't damaged a foe yet, so you just chunk. And I've also got gems in my bow right now with 20% more damage. This is the Onyx gem. So you're going to be wanting to get one of these at max level if you're going to be PvPing, because it just does so much damage at targets at full health, and you're going to be engaging. Hopefully you're going to be engaging first, so you get time to pull that heavy arrow. So that's your combo. You go straight into the E. I have it on E. It's penetrating shot. I have it on E because I found R and F were a bit finicky. And then right away, you want to do another roll and go into poison shot. And then you just start going. You start going on them. Light attacks. You can go for a heavy attack if you feel like you can have the time to do that and they're not running towards you. Go for the heavy. I would never heavy attack. This is another tip. I would never heavy attack against a range because you're standing still for way too long. Because you can't really move and it takes a while to draw that arrow back and it's not worth it. You want to be firing these shots against range. All of that, and then come out. Boom. Okay. So once you've got your poison on them, penetrating shots on cooldown, you start pounding away with these autos. If they get close, obviously, boom. Evade shot. We can talk about evade shot briefly in terms of the projectile and where your crosshair's going with it, because you need to aim downwards because you're firing from above, okay? So when it goes off cooldown, you'll see what I mean. If you hit this tree or something like this. You see where my arrow goes if I just hit it there, center? It's going from above. Again, this is what I was talking about with where the arrows come from. They come from your bow. And that's why I think people are struggling with aiming this thing, okay? It comes from your bow. So the evade shot is coming from above. So therefore, depending on where the target is, you want to be aiming downwards. If it's close to you, you want to be aiming towards their feet, because that's where the arrow is coming from above. So it's going to be going down into their head. Another thing with penetrating shot is the distance. Actually alarmingly close. 20 meters is just there, so you get more damage from the 20 meters of the penetrating shot. It's good to know your distances. I can't really tell you the flight of the arrows and give you an in-depth guide into that, because you're just going to have to go on feel, okay? You're just going to have to experiment with it, try out heavies, try out autos, lead your shots. Obviously you're going to have to lead them a lot when you're tracking across, because you see where my arrows are going there as I'm firing. Those are your abilities that you're going to be using, really. That's it. It's really that simple. You just got to hit shots. Start off with the heavy, into penetrating, boom, roll, get the poison on them, get that debuff going. Then we fire, coming in, boom. I'm still remaining above my stamina. See, you'll just get the feel of this. You just won't decrease in stamina. I can see it out the corner of my eye, my yellow bar going up. I'm not decreasing stamina. If I need to run, I'll just go a bit more. Stamina's recovering. Roll. Easy as pie. Easy. Now the last thing I want to talk about is armor. As you can see, I have light armor. And I wouldn't trade this out for the world. I think the mobility you get, the extra damage, super necessary for bow users. I see people running medium, and it's fine. If you can make that work, then great. But I really do recommend staying on light armor, at least for the time being. The meta is shifting, the meta is changing. People haven't got the full gear yet. Maybe you'll get to a point where you actually just need the medium armor to survive. But right now, I think the added damage and the mobility, the way you can get out quickly from underneath people. If people get on top of you, evade shot, roll back, boom, you're there. You need the roll. The medium armor is such a sluggish roll. Let me try and put something on. What have I got here? So I'll put it into medium, okay? It's just, how are you going to get away from someone like this? You get no animation cancel with your rolls. It's so sluggish. Like, the space that I've gotten at 3 rolls. It feels awful. Especially once you've experienced the light armor, it feels terrible. So I'd really recommend keeping light. That's it, guys. That's your bow guide. That's your advanced bow guide. I hope you've learned something. That was my aim. And like I said, I'm doing a spear guide soon, but really keep at this bow. Really try and master these shots, because once you do, it's a force to be reckoned with. I'm Lord Geo. We out.